In this episode of Premier Interschools, we look ahead to this Saturday's big Boland Bonanza between Paarl Boys High and Paarl ROOS Gymnasium, live on Supersport.
Prepare for that combat. The end is where it begins. Everything in that game that you win back. Brace for the impact.
Palpable.
Brace for the impact. You catching that contact. Brace for the impact.
The fifth Premier Interschools match of the 2019 season is an epic Boland encounter between two giants of schoolboy rugby. Paarl Boys High will be hosting Paarl ROOS from Stellenbosch in a real clash of the titans between two of South Africa's top rugby schools. Paarl Boys High, built in 1868, has a long and venerable legacy of alumni, including leaders in business, the arts, and of course sport. Many of the school's alumni remain passionate supporters, a hallmark of old boys' highers the world over, particularly when they gather for reunions and still belt out the school song with the same gees as when they wore the blue blazer all those years ago. The clash between Boys High and Paarl ROOS is one of two like-minded Boland schools, which leads to both huge passion for the game and also mutual respect between these two formidable opponents.
I think, Paarl ROOS have more or less the same values as we have, and the boys understand one another, and therefore I think this sort of contact against a like-minded group is of extreme importance. And the boys understand one another, they understand that they both will give everything that they have in a specific match and shake friends like gentlemen afterwards and depart as friends.
Rugby is a sport that features prominently at Paarl Boys, and the school has produced 21 Springboks to date, including the legendary Mannetjies Roux, former captain Corné Kruger, winger Karel Du Plessis, Gerthro Steenkamp and Frans Malherbe. Current provincial players include Salman Murat, SP Marais, Jean-Luc Du Plessis and Paul de Wet at the Stormers and Reno Smith at the Sharks. Stormers fly half Jean-Luc Du Plessis has a connection to Paarl Boys that spans multiple generations.
Yeah, my dad, Karel Du Plessis, he also went to Paarl Boys High. Then I followed in his footsteps, went to Paarl Boys High, and then my younger brother is also at the moment in Paarl Boys High. So yeah, definitely better roots growing there in Paarl, in the school, and I'm sure hopefully one day I'll be able to send my sons to Paarl Boys High.
Paarl Boys has had a largely successful 2019 season, beating off strong opposition like Affis and Monument, with only a single loss to date against Grey College in Bloemfontein. The game against Paarl ROOS will be another major encounter for the blue, white and blue as they measure themselves against one of their strongest opponents. First team coach Peter Engeldahl spoke to us about how he's preparing his team for the game against Paarl ROOS.
Yes, unfortunately, Paarl ROOS had the better of us last year. I think, first of all, they have a great set of players and also a very good coach with them. And we need to know that we have to be at our best on the day. I think also preparing the team, we go through the same process week in, week out. Having said that, you don't need to motivate the boys for a fixture like this. So it's more of the mental approach, making sure they perform on the day, so we have to manage our training load and also make sure that each boy is feeling confident and looking forward to the opportunity.
We asked the players about the upcoming game and what it meant to them to pull on that first team jersey.
It's a massive derby for us, a massive match, and I think it's not just the match itself, I think it's everything that goes behind it, the week going to the fixture, the old boys and the learners that just really stand behind you. It just motivates you even more to do your best and It's just a massive privilege to play against Paarl ROOS and to be able to represent your school.
We've been competing against these guys since under 14 level through all the age groups. So to play against them now in under 19 is almost now the pivotal of what's happened in our 5 years in the school, in our schooling career. So I say it's personal because we've known these guys now for the 5 years that we've been playing rugby now. So now for the matric year, it's what everything's come to.
The Paarl ROOS derby means a lot to us as a school. You know, obviously being a rivalry school, rivalry boys school, this brings a lot more gears and a lot more, how can I say, pride into the match day. And obviously it's one of the most pinnacle schoolboy derbies in Cape Town, so it just makes it much more exciting.
Die Paarl ROOS game is vir ons as 'n skool baie groot, omdat ons van klein tyd af op laerskool al saam met baie van die spelers kom wat in Paarl ROOS ook is, dan maak dit die game net soveel groter vir ons.
Being in a team that's been involved with ROOS, who's my fullback, his father played Springboks, and we've all known that Carl du Plessis played Springboks, and that the amount of knowledge he brings to our team on Saturdays and when he comes in helping with coaching, it really brings a lot to the team. And obviously being in Boys Eye, not only in high school but also in the primary school, you get to know the Springboks that came before you, like Corne Krige and Gertrude Steenkamp. You get told by the school they stepped in your footsteps and you're stepping in the same footsteps and the same path that they went through. So you don't only know about it, but people tell you the pride that you're playing for.
Results have been evenly spread over the last 8 years, with Paarl ROOS winning at home last year. However, Boys Eye won the 3 previous years in a row, and this year they have home ground advantage. Paarl ROOS will have to dig deep if they want to emerge as victors in Paarl. Paarl ROOS Gymnasium, founded in 1866, has provided leaders in politics, business and sport. Rector Andre van Staden explains the role the school's values have played in generating such a large number of influential alumni.
Paarl ROOS is a value-driven school. PRG stands for pride, respect and gentlemanship. Values are more important than successes and achievement. We believe successes and achievements come and go, but values will inspire you, values will guide you. Values will keep you on track. We believe eventually values will generate new successes, new achievements and new heights.
Paarl ROOS has produced the most Springboks of any school in South Africa to date, with 53 of their alumni wearing the green and gold, including, more recently, Stephen Kitsoff, Francois Hougaard, Willie Leroux, Skalk Brits, Damian Willemse, Joandre Creer, Andries Becker, Kobus Versaghi and Justin Swart. Daniel du Plessis and Herschel Jantjies are at the Stormers and John Hubert Meyer at the Sharks.
Yeah, so obviously John Luke was in Boys Eye, my cousin John Luke, and his dad was also in Boys Eye, Carl. I unfortunately didn't get the opportunity to play against John Luke because he was a year above me, and I think I was injured the year that we played against them. But yeah, obviously I think he was fortunate enough to get the bragging rights in the family because he won his year and my year. But yeah, obviously still special to play against them. Massive schoolboy derby and always enjoyable.
The Paarl ROOS team has had an impressive season thus far, including winning the Sanix World Schools Tournament in Japan, and only the single loss to Paarl last week. This will be another grueling encounter against a top Western Cape school, and the boys will have to bring their best in the game at BERGH Street. Coach Marinus Pretorius reflected on last year's game against Paarl boys and the challenge that lies ahead at BERGH Street.
Verlede jaar se wedstryd teen Boys Eye was 'n baie goeie wedstryd geweest, 'n goeie oorwinning vir die span. Maar 2018 is verby en 2019 het nuwe uitdagings en dit gaan nie 'n maklike wedstryd daar wees nie, veral want ons op Brugstraat speel en hulle geniet tuisveld voordeel. So ons ouens gaan regtig moet skerp wees op Saterdag.
We spoke to the first team players about their expectations for the game against Paarl boys.
Going into the boys' eye game, we as a team are very well prepared and everyone knows what they need to do. We also have a lot of players who played in the squad last year, and which I believe would contribute to the game this year in terms of experience and controlling the game. We can only focus on what we need to do and the rest will take care of itself.
Paarl, ROOS and Boys Eye have had a long rivalry between the schools. It is a massive game to play because there's been Springboks who have played on this field. It is a massive privilege too because I play alongside my brothers that have come from grade 8 towards to this game. We've lost one game against Boys Eye, and from that day on we said we'll never lose against them again.
It's definitely one of the biggest derbies, given the fact that the schools are so close to each other, the fact that we play them from grade 8 and the history that is present between the schools. It makes you feel a part of something much bigger than yourself, knowing that the entire Paarl ROOS community is behind you.
With both teams regularly in the top 5 in schools rugby in South Africa, this Saturday all eyes will be on BERGH Street in Paarl as the blue, white and blue take on the men in maroon in a monumental game of schools rugby.
Manne, baie sterkte vir die wedstryd. Geniet dit. Speel met passie. Speel vir die skool, speel vir mekaar. Ons staan bankvas agter julle. Geniet hom.
Yeah, I just want to say to the Paarl ROOS folks, go out there and enjoy it. Every one of you, no matter what you're doing, even if it's not in the rugby field. It's really something that you remember after school, and it's a massive honor and privilege also to represent your school. So go and enjoy it, boys.
Watch Paarl Boys versus Paarl ROOS in Premier Interschools Rugby this Saturday, live on SuperSport.